You're listening to Audiology. Support this channel by becoming a member, and be sure to submit your requests for topics in the comments below. Peter Thiel was born on the 11th of October, 1967, in Frankfurt am Main, in what was then West Germany, to his parents Klaus Friedrich Thiel and Susanna Thiel. When Peter was just a year old, his family moved to the United States, initially settling in Cleveland, Ohio. His father, Klaus, worked as a chemical engineer, often changing jobs with various mining companies. This meant Peter and his younger brother, Patrick Michael Thiel, moved around a lot during their childhood. While Peter's mother became a citizen of the United States, his father chose not to. Peter himself would later become a United States citizen as well. Before finally making their home in Foster City, California, in 1977, the Thiel family had lived in South Africa and what's now known as Namibia. This constant moving meant Peter changed elementary schools 7 times, even attending a strict school in Swakopmund that required uniforms and used corporal punishment, such as hitting students' hands with a ruler. He has mentioned that this harsh environment pushed him to value individualism and freedom, views that would shape his support for libertarianism later in life. Growing up, Thiel was drawn to the worlds of Dungeons and Dragons and science fiction, enjoying works by Isaac Asimov and Robert A. Heinlein. He's a huge fan of J.R.R. Tolkien, having read The Lord of the Rings more than 10 times, a passion reflected in the names of several companies he founded, all inspired by Tolkien's universe. Peter showed a knack for mathematics early on, securing the top spot in a statewide math competition while attending Bowditch Middle School. At San Mateo High School, his interest in Ayn Rand's philosophy and the ideals of President Ronald Reagan became quite apparent. He was the top student in his class when he graduated in 1985. When Thiel moved on to Stanford University, the debate over identity politics and political correctness was heating up. He was critical of a shift in the curriculum that diluted the focus on Western culture in favor of more diverse and inclusive courses. In response, he co-founded the Stanford Review, a newspaper leaning towards conservative and libertarian viewpoint, in 1987. The paper, which gained financial backing from Irving Kristol, had Thiel as its first editor-in-chief. Even after graduating in 1989, Thiel continued to support and advise the newspaper. His academic journey continued at Stanford Law School, where he earned his Juris Doctor in 1992. It was there he met René Girard, a thinker whose theories on human desire and mimicry had a profound impact on Thiel. After finishing his studies at Stanford Law School, Thiel began his career by working closely with Judge James Larry Edmondson at the United States Court of Appeals for the 11th Circuit. He didn't stop there. He went on to become a securities lawyer at Sullivan and Cromwell, a prestigious law firm in New York. However, Thiel decided that wasn't the right fit for him and left the firm in less than a year. He shifted gears dramatically, moving into the financial world as a derivatives trader dealing with currency options at Credit Suisse in 1993. At the same time, he showcased his versatile talents by serving as a speechwriter for William Bennett, who once oversaw the United States Department of Education. In 1996, Thiel made a significant move back to California, just in time to dive into the dot-com boom, peak era for internet-based startup. With a bold move, he gathered $1 million from friends and family to kickstart Thiel Capital Management, thus beginning his journey in venture capital. It wasn't all smooth sailing, though. An early investment saw him putting $100,000 into his friend Luke Nosek's web-based calendar project, which unfortunately didn't take off. Yet, it wasn't long before another opportunity knocked on his door. Max Levchin, a friend of Nosek, shared with Thiel an idea he had for a cryptography-related company. This conversation laid the foundation for their first collaborative venture, initially named FieldLink, which was later rebranded to Confinity in 1998, marking the beginning of a new chapter in Thiel's career. Peter Thiel, with the creation of Confinity, aimed to simplify online payments. Despite the growing use of credit cards and automated teller machines offering more ways to pay, the need for physical hardware limited some merchants, leaving shoppers to rely on cash or checks. Thiel's solution was a digital wallet launched as PayPal in 1999, enhancing both convenience and security through encrypted data on digital devices. PayPal was envisioned to transform the way we handle money, addressing the significant challenge of currency devaluation due to inflation. In Thiel's words from 1999, "We're definitely onto something big. The need PayPal answers is monumental. Everyone in the world needs money to get paid, to trade, to live." He highlighted the drawbacks of cash as outdated and insecure, seeing PayPal as not just an upgrade for American users, but a game changer for the developing world. Thiel pointed out how volatile currencies, worsened by government actions like in the 1998 Russian and 1997 Asian financial crises, stripped wealth from citizens. PayPal aimed to empower people globally with more control over their money, protecting wealth from corrupt governments by enabling the switch to more stable currencies. At its 1999 launch event, with executives from Nokia and Deutsche Bank in attendance, PayPal demonstrated its potential by facilitating a $3 million venture fund transfer via Palm Pilots. Following mergers with Elon Musk's X.com and mobile commerce firm Pixo in 2000, PayPal ventured into the mobile market, making money transfers easier and safer by using emails instead of bank details. PayPal's public offering on February 15, 2002, and subsequent acquisition by eBay for $1.5 billion in October 2002 marked significant milestones, with Thiel as chief executive officer until the sale. His nearly 4% stake in the company netted him $55 million. In Silicon Valley, Thiel is notably called the Don of the PayPal Mafia. Peter Thiel took $10 million from his earnings and founded Clarium Capital Management, a hedge fund that focuses on broad, global market strategies, including investments in currencies, interest rates, commodities, and stocks. Thiel shared that the central insight guiding Clarium was the peak oil theory. This theory posited that the world's oil supply was on the brink of decline without any simple substitutes available. In 2003, Thiel made a successful prediction that the United States dollar would weaken. By 2004, he observed that the dot-com bubble's effects had shifted towards inflating a financial sector bubble, pinpointing companies like General Electric and Walmart as being particularly exposed. In 2005, Thiel's forecast that the dollar would strengthen led to a substantial 57.1% return for Clarium. Despite these successes, Clarium experienced a downturn in 2006, losing 7.8%. The firm then focused on a strategy based on their analysis that the world's oil supplies were waning, anticipating long-term profits. This approach seemed to pay off in 2007, with a significant 40.3% return, boosting Clarium's managed assets to over $7 billion by the early part of 2008. However, the firm encountered major setbacks later in 2008 and in 2009 as financial markets worldwide faced a crash. By 2011, after missing the economic recovery, many of Clarium's key investors withdrew their funds. This led to a drastic reduction in the assets managed by Clarium to $350 million, of which two-thirds belonged to Thiel himself. Back in May 2003, Peter Thiel founded Palantir Technologies. This isn't just any company. Its name is inspired by an artifact from Tolkien's universe, and it specializes in analyzing complex sets of data. Fast forward to 2022, and Thiel is still the head honcho over there, serving as the chairman. He once shared that Palantir was born out of a light bulb moment. He realized the techniques PayPal used to sniff out fraudsters could also tackle bigger issues like terrorism. Thiel reflected on the post-9/11 era, summarizing the national debate as a choice between sacrificing privacy for security or vice versa. His goal with Palantir, to offer spy agencies data mining that's as non-invasive and transparent as possible. Palantir didn't just come out of nowhere. Its first major financial endorsement came from In-Q-Tel, with the CIA's venture capital branch. This support helped Palantir grow by leaps and bounds. By 2015, its value skyrocketed to $20 billion, with Thiel holding the title of its biggest shareholder. Back in August 2004, Peter Thiel decided to invest $500,000 in Facebook, gaining a 10.2% stake in the company. This not only marked Facebook's first step in attracting outside investment, but also pegged the company's value at $4.9 million. Thiel wasn't just bringing in funds, he also joined the Facebook board. While he wasn't deeply involved in the day-to-day running of the company, he played a crucial role in strategizing funding rounds, earning praise from Mark Zuckerberg for his timing advice, especially before the 2008 financial crunch. The story of how Thiel came to invest in Facebook is quite interesting and is detailed in David Kirkpatrick's book, The Facebook Effect. It began with Sean Parker, co-founder of Napster and then president of Facebook, scouting for investors. Parker initially turned to LinkedIn Chief Executive Officer Reid Hoffman, who liked the idea but passed due to potential conflicts of interest. Hoffman, however, suggested Parker reach out to Thiel, connection from their days at PayPal. Thiel met with Parker and Facebook's Mark Zuckerberg, hit it off with them, and opted to lead the funding round with a substantial investment. Although Facebook didn't hit an initial target of 1.5 million users by the end of 2004, Thiel still converted his loan into equity, believing firmly in the company's vision and its valuation. By September 2010, despite his skepticism about the growth potential in the consumer internet sector, Thiel noted that Facebook, with a market valuation of $30 billion at the time, was undervalued compared to its peers. When Facebook went public in May 2012, it was valued at nearly $100 billion. Thiel capitalized on this, selling 16.8 million shares for $638 million. By August 2012, after the restriction period ended, he sold the majority of his remaining stake for a hefty sum, surpassing $1 billion from his shares overall, though he kept a seat on the board. In the following years, Thiel gradually sold off more shares, trimming his stake substantially by 2020. On February 7, 2022, Thiel announced he was leaving Facebook's parent company, Meta's board, after 17 years. His departure aimed to focus on supporting Donald Trump-friendly candidates in the 2022 U.S. election. Back in 2005, Peter Thiel kicked off Founders Fund, a venture capital fund based in San Francisco. He didn't do it alone, though. He teamed up with other key players like Sean Parker, Ken Howery, and Luke Nosek. Thiel isn't just known for his investment in Facebook. He, personally, or via Founders Fund, has also put money into a whole bunch of early-stage companies. This list reads like a who's who of the tech world, including big names like Airbnb, LinkedIn, and Spotify, alongside other innovative firms such as SpaceX, Palantir Technologies, and many more. In 2017, Thiel's Founders Fund made a pretty bold move by purchasing $15 to $20 million worth of Bitcoin. By January 2018, they were telling their investors that this gamble paid off big time as the value of their Bitcoin soared into the hundreds of millions of dollars. Also noteworthy, in 2017, Thiel decided to invest in Clearview AI, a startup focusing on facial recognition technology. It stirred up quite the discussion in the tech and media worlds due to concerns about how such technology could potentially be misused. In May of 2016, during an interview with the New York Times, Peter Thiel disclosed that he had spent $10 million to cover the legal fees for a number of lawsuits, including one prominent lawsuit filed by Terry Bollea, better known as Hulk Hogan, against Gawker Media. This lawsuit, which revolved around Gawker publishing parts of a private sex tape involving Bollea, ultimately led to a jury awarding Bollea $140 million. The financial pressure from this case contributed to Gawker declaring in August 2016 that it would be shutting down permanently. Thiel described his financial backing of Bollea's lawsuit as one of the greater philanthropic things he has done. Thiel explained his decision to take action against Gawker stemmed from their 2007 article that disclosed he was gay, under the headline, "Peter Thiel is totally gay, people." He expressed concern that Gawker's articles not only invaded the privacy of individuals, including some of his friends, but also potentially destroyed lives without just cause. Thiel emphasized his efforts weren't driven by a desire for revenge, but rather a principle of specific deterrence. Despite critique that his actions could undermine press freedom, Thiel defended himself by highlighting his contributions to the Committee to Protect Journalists. He argued that fighting back against Gawker did not endanger journalism, as he holds journalists in high regard and believes in protecting privacy over allowing massive invasions of it. Expanding on his stance, Thiel penned an opinion piece in the New York Times on the 15th of August 2016, articulating that his commitment to defending privacy rights extends beyond the Gawker case. He expressed his support for the Intimate Privacy Protection Act and voiced that individuals, whether they are athletes or business executives, should have the autonomy to disclose their personal lives on their own terms. Peter Thiel identifies as a conservative libertarian, but lately he has been leaning towards national conservatism. He has also voiced criticism about the liberal approach to free trade and big technology. Back in 1995, Thiel and David O. Sachs released a book called The Diversity Myth, which took aim at political correctness and multiculturalism in colleges. The next year, they wrote an article for Stanford magazine opposing affirmative action in the United States, arguing it harmed those it intended to help and led to more segregation at Stanford under the guise of promoting diversity. In 2004, Thiel penned an essay titled The Straussian Moment, which is often seen as a key piece in understanding his political views. In a 2019 interview at the Hoover Institution, this essay was discussed, highlighting its argument that the September 11th attacks required a fresh look at the foundations of modern politics, as they shook the political and military norms of the past centuries. By 2009, Thiel expressed a belief that freedom and democracy might not go hand in hand, pointing to the challenges libertarians face with welfare recipients and women, leading him to explore new technologies like cyberspace, space colonization, and seasteading as avenues for creating a new space for freedom. His essay on this topic has been cited by neo-reactionary movement theorists Curtis Yarvin and Nick Land. In a 2015 discussion with Tyler Cowen, Thiel noted that innovative breakthroughs seem to be happening more in computing and information technology than in the physical world, mentioning the stagnation in areas like space exploration, high-speed transit, and medical devices. He attributed this discrepancy to the regulation of physical goods, atoms, compared to the freer realm of digital information, bits. In 2019, Thiel made headlines by labeling Google's work with China as seemingly treasonous, calling for a government investigation to determine if DeepMind or Google's top management had been compromised by foreign intelligence. Lastly, Thiel is part of the steering committee for the Bilderberg Group, an exclusive conference that attracts intellectuals, political leaders, and business magnates annually. Peter Thiel, who is openly gay, has mostly thrown his support behind conservative movements for gay rights, such as the American Foundation for Equal Rights and Geo Proud. He even brought in conservative writer and his friend Ann Coulter to speak at HomoCon 2010. Coulter showed her appreciation by dedicating her 2011 book, Demonic: How the Liberal Mob is Endangering America, Thiel. He's also given a shout-out in the acknowledgments of Coulter's book, Adios America: The Left's Plan to Turn Our Country into a Third World Hellhole. Back in 2012, Thiel put his money where his heart is, donating $10,000 to Minnesotans United for All Families, which was fighting against a proposed amendment in Minnesota that would have banned same-sex marriage. In 2009, Thiel was behind the funding of a college student named James O'Keefe's video project called Taxpayers Clearinghouse, a spoof on the Wall Street bailout. Although O'Keefe later created the controversial Acorn undercover videos, Thiel's spokesperson clarified that Thiel was not involved in that particular project. Fast forward to July 2012, Thiel made a significant financial gesture by donating $1 million to the Club for Growth. This donation made him the top donor to this fiscally conservative group, which focuses on reducing taxes and other economic reforms. This organization operates as a 501, meaning it's recognized as a social welfare organization by the IRS. Thiel, known for his affiliations with the Republican Party, has a history of financially backing both libertarian and Republican individuals and efforts. Back in December 2007, Thiel threw his support behind Ron Paul for president. When Paul didn't clinch the Republican nomination, Thiel then moved his support to John McCain's campaign. Moving to 2010, Thiel supported Meg Whitman during her run for governor of California, contributing the maximum allowed $25,900 to her campaign. By 2012, Thiel, with compatriots Nozick and Scott Bannister, supported the endorsed Liberty Super Political Action Committee with a collective contribution of $3.9 million. This Super Political Action Committee was dedicated to promoting Ron Paul, using around $3.3 million by January 31, 2012, for Paul's promotion through various digital channels. After Paul missed the nomination again, Thiel backed the Mitt Romney-Paul Ryan ticket. During the 2016 GOP primaries, Thiel initially supported Carly Fiorina. After Fiorina withdrew, Thiel endorsed Donald Trump and even served as a California delegate for Trump's nomination. Notably, at the convention, Thiel proudly shared his gay identity, receiving applause from those gathered. On October 15, 2016, he announced a $1.25 million donation to Trump's presidential campaign. Explaining his financial support to the New York Times, Thiel mentioned, "I didn't give him any money for a long time because I didn't think it mattered, and then the campaign asked me to." Following Trump's win, Thiel was named to the executive committee of the transition team. In 2018, he donated $250,000 to support both the Republican National Committee and Trump's re-election effort for 2020. By February 2022, Thiel emerged as one of the major donors for the Republican candidates in the 2022 election, with over $20.4 million in contributions. He supported 16 candidates, some of whom contested the integrity of the 2020 election results. Among them were Blake Masters and J.D. Vance, both senatorial candidates and former tech investors under Thiel. However, in 2023, Barton Gellman from The Atlantic noted a significant shift in Thiel's stance, stating that Thiel has lost interest in democracy and would not be financing any politicians, including Donald Trump, in the forthcoming presidential campaign. Thiel also runs Free Forever, his political action committee, which champions politicians in favor of stringent border control, restrictive immigration policies, veterans funding, and an anti-interventionist foreign policy stance. In October 2017, Thiel tied the knot with his longtime partner, Matt Danzeisen, in a ceremony held in Vienna, Austria. Danzeisen plays a vital role at Thiel Capital, where he serves as a portfolio manager. Additionally, Thiel shared a long-standing relationship with Jeff Thomas, a notable social media influencer. Their relationship began at the start of the COVID-19 pandemic and lasted until the unexpected passing of Thomas in March 2023. Thiel's home is in San Francisco, California. Peter Thiel, who openly identifies as a Christian, actively promotes the Christian anthropology of René Girard. Coming from an evangelical family background, Thiel, by 2011, characterized his faith as unconventional. He expressed, "I believe Christianity is true, but I do not sort of feel a compelling need to convince other people of that." Thiel engages in discussions on religion, politics, and technology, notably with renowned theologian N.T. Wright at Veritas Forum events. Thiel's interest in René Girard's teachings began during a lecture at Stanford University, where Girard, a Catholic, introduced concepts like sacrifice and the scapegoat mechanism as means to overcome social conflict. This perspective resonated with Thiel, offering him a way to understand his Christian beliefs beyond the fundamentalism he experienced growing up. Peter Thiel, originally from Germany, became an American citizen through naturalization. In 2011, he also managed to secure permanent residency in New Zealand, a fact that remained under wraps until 2017. Before applying for New Zealand citizenship, Thiel had been to the country just 4 times and spent a total of only 12 days there, which is far less than the usual requirement of 1,350 days for residency. Thiel openly mentioned that he didn't plan to live in New Zealand, a usual prerequisite for citizenship there. However, Nathan Guy, who was the Minister of Internal Affairs at the time, decided to overlook these standard requirements by invoking a clause in the Citizenship Act that allows for exceptions under exceptional circumstances. In 2015, Thiel bought a 193-hectare property near Wanaka. This property was considered sensitive land, meaning its purchase typically requires approval from New Zealand's Overseas Investment Office. Yet, as Thiel had already been granted New Zealand citizenship, he didn't need this permission. His citizenship application highlighted his economic contributions, including founding a venture capital fund in Auckland and investing $7 million in 2 New Zealand companies, alongside a notable $1 million donation to the 2011 Christchurch earthquake relief efforts. Thiel's application was also bolstered by a reference from Rod Drury, founder of Xero. Thiel's path to citizenship stirred controversy, with some arguing it suggested New Zealand passports could essentially be purchased, an allegation the New Zealand government has rebutted. Following the public disclosure of his citizenship, the New Zealand Herald reported that New Zealand's Defence Force, the Security Intelligence Service, and the Government Communications and Security Bureau had long-standing connections with Palantir, a company Thiel co-founded, spotlighting the intricate relationship between Thiel's tech ventures and New Zealand's governmental agencies. Thanks for watching. Share your thoughts in the comments and subscribe for more content.